So lads, the WNBA have done it. They have done it. They have officially fined Sophie Cunningham every podcast episode.
Sophie Cunningham has made a revelation that makes the WNBA appear hopeless. She claims that every time she speaks, the league is deliberately trying to discover her. Not for combat, not for flaming birds, but for TikToks and podcasts. Yes, you heard correctly. So, this is my query. Are these fines, in your opinion, free publicity or punishment? Okay, let us enter the circus. In some ways, Sophie Cunningham, who, to be honest, wasn't really well known until this year, has emerged as the most successful woman in WNBA history, at least informally. The absurd thing is that it has nothing to do with her disobeying the court's guidelines. Not at all. The reason for this is that she is speaking into a microphone and uploading a podcast to TikTok. That's all.
I'm officially 3 for 3 on being fined by the WNBA.
Holy sh! For this? For the pod? Again?
They didn't like my comments on Paige Becker's.
No way!
I didn't even say anything bad.
On the quick whistle?
She even came clean about it. Officially, I've been punished by the WNBA 3 times in a row. She wasn't even angry. She was giggling over it. Why? Because she is aware that these fines are increasing her notoriety, marketability, and wealth. Every time they hit her with a fine, the WNBA writes her a payment, even though they believe they are silencing her. And what specifically did she do wrong this time? Claiming that Paige Boers produces a nice whistle.
I love Paige to death. Do not get me wrong. I think, I think she's a hell of a player and, would love to play with her one day. But those refs were giving her every freaking whistle last night. You literally couldn't touch her. Couldn't touch her. And that shit is so annoying to me.
That's all. The crime is that. That's what you get in today's WNBA for $200, $300, or $500. Praising Paige Boer's skill at drawing fouls. Ignore the blatant elbows. Don't bother with the body inspections. Ignore the fact that the top players were shooed in the face. Not at all. They won't allow you to cross the line when Sophie compliments Paige's whistle. Now, since this is nearly comical, allow me to explain. In a real press conference, Angel Ree has the ability to call Caitlin Clark's whistle special from a podium. She received no fine at all. To complain about referees, Kelsey Plum has interrupted whole news conferences. No penalty. After her players almost body slam Caitlin Clark, Stephanie White goes completely crazy. You know what? No penalty. However, Sophie Cunningham.
Whistle last night. You literally couldn't touch her. Couldn't touch her. And that shit is so annoying to me. And you're gonna do that, then give it to our guards. I just hate the inconsistency.
It's picky. It is specifically targeted. And it's clear. Sophie is not a moron. She is aware that she is being used as an example. She has been identified by the WNBA as their problem child. Here's the twist, though. Sophie is really winning. Consider this. She was initially fined $400. She was penalized, expelled, and became known as the bad girl of the WNBA. And what took place? Overnight, her jersey sold out. Her TikTok fan base increased from 300,000 to more than 1 million. Brands suddenly wanted her. Her name suddenly became well known to those who didn't even follow the WNBA. She never made a better marketing investment than the $400 fine. Next. This time, a few $100s above TikTok. And what took place? The same outcome. Hundreds of thousands of new followers, millions of views, more sales, and increased visibility. Laughing out loud, Sophie said, "Okay, you got it, bud." She pays a little fine when they discover her because she now recognizes the pattern, and her brand is greatly enhanced in exchange. Punishment is not what that is. A business model is that.
We were talking about our first week, what people had to say. Well, the WNBA fined me for talking about the refs.
No!
Everyone's what is going on with the refs? And I'm I don't know. And you finding me $500 is not going to do shit.
You got fined for episode 1?
Dude, they fined me $1,500. I'm what? I'm this is just the beginning. It's you're kidding.
Oh, way. it's cool for the pod, but that's kind of a bummer. Do they put like, this is why you're being fined and this is why it's this much? Or is it like, hey, quit talking shit on us, Venmo us like 1,500?
No. What happens is they email our GM. She pulls me aside and she goes, come here, Soph, I have to talk to you. And this was in like front of everybody. And I was like, what did I do now? And she just smiled and she goes, hey, they're going to fine you again. I was like, I even told them, I even credited them that their job was hard.
Like, I'm not saying that your job is easy.
I did say that. And I said that I would not be good at it. Like, look at the whole picture. What are we doing?
And then I'll get fined for that. And then I'll get fined for this. And then the fines continue. Yeah.
In the meantime, the WNBA consistently appears more foolish. Because this is the problem. It is assumed that a player will cease doing whatever they did wrong because the punishment is painful and would negatively impact their finances. However, Sophie is strengthened by these sanctions rather than harmed. She is making millions out of cents. She is surpassing the league in their own right. This is where the irony naturally emerges. The WNBA should stop looking for her if they truly intended to discipline her. No viral moment if there is no fine. There are fewer brand partnerships if there is no viral moment. However, the league's brilliant leaders can't help but assert their dominance. She continues to cash in on the checks they continue to write her under the premise of fines. Let's now discuss Paige. Booers because the hypocrisy really gets out of control at this point. In some way, Paige has become untouchable. Her fan base is beyond insane. I also don't use such word carelessly. These are the people that rejoice over Sophie's injuries, who revere Bria Hartley just because of her past involvement with Sophie. They are constantly enraged online at anyone who would dare to question their monarch. The league adores it as well. They will stop at nothing to keep Paige safe. Sophie was called for fouls when she practically shoved her twice during a game. Consider that. Paige fouls Sophie, shoves her, and blows at her. This cannot be made up. It's embarrassing.
But like, why?
They are not protecting their players. Nobody's going to watch this if you're not protecting your star player. You're not protecting your players, period. But particularly your star players. No one's going to watch this. People are watching it because of Caitlin Clark, and then even more because of Sophie Cunningham. And if you're going to just hang them out to dry, then, good heavens. And then what? Reese is out. Angel Reese is out too. Is she coming back to WNBA? That's a big question. Nobody's going to watch this anymore because they don't protect their players. It's a worthless organization. They have no idea how to protect their players. But, oh man, they're going to bitch and moan. Well, you better pay us the money. For what? You can't even protect your star players that draw the eyeballs. Now nobody's watching. Nobody's going to watch to see the star players sitting out with injuries because of poor treatment and poor officiating on the sides. Nobody's going to watch that. That's so dumb. I hate it because, man, they had a hot streak, and now look.
The league's top star, Caitlin Clark, may suffer a technical foul, have her eye poked, and leave the game with her face held. We're dealing with officiating at that level. Paige escapes punishment. Caitlin is penalized for simply existing. Additionally, Sophie receives a fine for remarking that Paige has a nice whistle. You may view the image here. This has nothing to do with game protection. This has nothing to do with professionalism. Control is at issue here. This has to do with the WNBA selecting a favorite. The player who single-handedly saved the WNBA's ratings, Caitlin Clark, receives the exact opposite treatment. Every game, she is thrashed. She is smacked, shoved, groped, and occasionally even mugged. And what takes place? She is called for a foul herself, or worse, nothing. Do you recall the game in which she actually had her eye poked? The whistle continued to work against her as she left while holding her face. Negative protection is the star protection that the WNBA provides for its biggest star. The section that irritates fans is this one. When Caitlin even raises an eyebrow, the referees smack her with a tech. She also absorbs hits and doesn't receive calls. Paige, however, may throw her hands in the air and talk with referees all day long without anything happening. Sophie is the one that writes payments to the league office after calling it out. That is a clear example of the double standard. Sophie isn't joking when she says that she's 3 for 3 on WNBA fines. You can see players performing far worse around the league, which is why she is exposing how absurd this system is. Fighting, scuffles, open disdain for referees, and somehow getting away with almost no fines. However, Sophie is the one they wish to silence. What do you know? She is deceiving them. She has not been silenced. She has never been louder. Every discovery turns into a popular video. Another popular headline on TikTok prompts those who don't even follow basketball to question, wait, who's Sophie Cunningham? She was joking about it for that reason. She is aware that the WNBA recently caused her brand to soar once more. Let's now introduce the fans, as they play a significant role in this circle. Some of the most crazy people you'll ever meet are Paige's admirers. When Sophie is injured, they applaud. They post the strangest opinions you've ever seen in comment areas. They defend Paige as if she were a cross between Taylor Swift and LeBron James. And because Paige gives them clicks, the WNBA devours it. She is protected as a result. Sophie is punished as a result. Here's the twist, though. In fact, Sophie gains popularity as a result of the vitriol that Paige's supporters direct at her. Every slight turns into a complimentary advertisement. Sophie acquires 50,000 new followers on TikTok as every video of her being jeered goes viral. Each penalty the league imposes on her elicits more pity from impartial supporters who. Marketing 101. Sophie does not have to purchase advertisements on Instagram, billboards, or commercials. Paige receives free support from the WNBA and her fan base. Every action, statement, and alleged transgression against the league is magnified by them. Sophie cashes the check as well. The WNBA, however, is unable to move out of its own way. They aspire to be perceived as legitimate, professional, and equitable. However, they continue to demonstrate the opposite. A league cannot exist where one player receives superstar treatment and unrestricted protection, while another is pushed out and penalized for commenting. Even casual watchers, content producers, and fans take attention. For this reason, the WNBA continues to have credibility issues. Remember the media's part in all of this as well. Scott Agnes and other reporters. Reporters covering the fever seem more like league public relations representatives than true journalists. They laugh along, minimize injuries, and pretend everything is okay rather than posing difficult questions like why Sophie keeps getting picked out or why Caitlin Clark is punished for simply existing. Supporters aren't dumb. The bias is evident to them. They are aware of the cover-ups. Since they're at least speaking the truth, independent creators are flourishing as a result. Sophie Cunningham is essentially evidence that the WNBA's entire control approach is ineffective. They try to silence her, but each punishment makes her more vocal. They attempt to incite her detractors, yet each one only serves to increase awareness of her brand. They wish for her to cause trouble. However, she is becoming their most marketable individual. Despite their best efforts, the league is unable to script it any better. Additionally, this relates to Caitlin Clark. The league deliberately allowing their biggest attraction to be abused without defense is the same league that is attempting to silence Sophie. That is sabotage, not simply stupidity. It makes sense that the WNBA would want Caitlin to share Paige's golden whistle. You would expect that they would shield their star from harm, egregious infractions, and potentially harmful strikes. However, they don't give a damn about Caitlin's safety since they're too preoccupied with pursuing sanctions against Sophie Cunningham. The worst part is still to come. The WNBA appears desperate as a result of this entire situation. They seem to be quite hungry. For the sake of control, they are unaware of how blatantly transparent the partiality has become. Fans can't stop laughing when Caitlin receives the WWE steel chair greeting every night and Paige receives kid glove treatment. The league seems to be holding auditions to determine who will be selected. Spoiler alert, it's not Sophie, and it's not Caitlin either. In actuality, the league is clueless on how to deal with a player who adopts a villainous persona. Sophie simply leans into it more when they try to punish her. She posts another joke on Instagram each time they attempt to bury her. Sophie uploads something that doubles Paige's engagement every time her admirers bombard her with mentions. She's essentially operating a. Caitlin Clark finds herself in a difficult situation. In addition to being the league's biggest attraction, she is also its largest target. They are unable to determine whether to crucify her or crown her. Every Caitlin Clark game doubles attendance, triples TV ratings, and forces ESPN to appear as though it cares about women's basketball. So on the one hand, they need her. However, she refuses to play the subdued, quiet part they desire, so they treat her like the enemy. Even when arenas sell out, they still allow her to be thrashed every night. It's crazy. Furthermore, Paige doesn't even have to merit it. She enters, blows the superstar whistle, and Sophie and anybody else who challenges it receive a bill in the mail. It's